We're live.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll call to, is this a work session or an actual
Yep.
meeting?
No, just work session.
Just a work session? Okay, so if it's not an actual meeting, then we don't need to do any of the formal stuff. So call us to order. Scott, do you want to jump in with the information you have?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, board members. And Michael, I hope you can hear too, but I wanted to call this group together, you all together today, just to talk about, I think when we were together, the last two board meetings, we had some conversation about possible roundabout on Roosevelt Parkway. I was in a meeting with Matt on Wednesday and a week ago on Wednesday, I had shared with the board, I didn't think we'd need a special session because at that point, there was some talk between us and the town that it wouldn't be going in front of the council on Monday. Matt and I talked Wednesday, and it is going to be on the agenda Wednesday in order to move it forward and allow for design to happen in time to put the roundabout in if that's the direction it were to go next summer. So timings are the essence. And so I wanted to pull this group together just so that we could talk about where the board, how we're feeling. I have had some conversations with Matt about some of the challenges with how we feel as a district around the roundabout and the ask and potential timing. The most recent ask that I wasn't aware of until the other day, right, in terms of design, is different than what I was able to share with you a week ago on Wednesday. The ask right now is for our part of the design to be $75,000. I think Matt is here with us, so I appreciate Matt you jumping on. You'll be able to answer questions, I'm sure, better than me. But the ask for us as a district is $75,000 for design, with the city kicking in $150,000 for design. So that's different than what I was shared with you last week. We start with that, questions you have about that, and that's really what, Matt, you're taking forward to the council on Monday night would be to move design forward. Is that fair?
Yeah, Scott and board, good afternoon. Hope you're all doing well today. So the ask that we're taking to our council is to award the design contract to Benish, Alford and Associates. And the total design cost, I believe, off the top of my head, is roughly $435,000. That would design a roundabout at the intersection of Roosevelt and Colorado Boulevard. The reason that we are taking it now is because of the urgency of this issue. What we want to do ultimately is we want to complete design during the school year, and then at Memorial Day, close down that intersection 100%. There will be no traffic to and from Roosevelt Parkway at Colorado Boulevard so that the construction company can complete the roundabout prior to the beginning of school again in August. The roundabout was determined to be the most effective option versus a traffic signal. And that's because at about 2040 or maybe 2045, the traffic signal intersection fails. On top of it, just from a general safety perspective, T-bone intersections are what you T-bone accidents are generally what you see at intersections versus at a roundabout. You have more of a side impact at a lower speed, safer for our kids, and overall safer for the community as well.
Matt, this is Amy Musgrave. Can you tell me how many lanes you're planning on? Is it still the 2 lanes and then the turn lane like was presented to us in the board meeting, the school board meeting?
Let me see if I could bring that up. So ultimately, the roundabout's going to be initially, I think it's 1 lane, But it is being striped such that, or pardon me, it's being constructed such that eventually only striping would need to be adjusted to incorporate 2 lanes in the north-south direction. Does that make sense?
Uh,
Let me see if
I mean, it makes sense. I know what you're saying. So it's the smaller roundabout that we're seeing pop up all over around here, like at Shields.
No, it's going to be a full-size roundabout, but it
Okay,
initially, as part of its ultimate, or when it's first rolled out, it will only accommodate for 1 lane. And basically all we'll have to do is restripe it to get 2 lanes incorporated into the directions, because north-south of that roundabout, we're not going to have 2 lanes in each direction yet. So it doesn't make
okay.
sense for us to put in 2 lanes in the roundabout and then having them kind of fighting to merge into a single lane as they travel north and south.
So, yeah, all of the new building we're doing here, the new apartments going downtown that you guys have planned in your master plan thing I was looking at, all these new developments around here, do we think this is going to, are we spending our money, I guess, wisely? Are we gonna have to like redo this? When we think about, 4,000 more residents coming in here. I know there's gonna be a road from the granary coming over to the high school. Like, are we considering those growth issues
So I don't know what
when we're talking about
roundabout,
the size of this?
pardon me, Amy, I don't know exactly what apartment complexes you're talking about, because what we're doing right now is we're working on a master plan, and to
Right.
think that this is happening tomorrow, I think is
I
wrong.
100% do not think it's happening tomorrow.
Okay.
When we're looking at how many new kids are coming into the district and how many new people we expect every year, I mean, what was it, 150 kids this year? And I mean, we can all see the growth. When we initially talked about it, I thought we talked about it being larger, which made me more comfortable, because of the growth we're experiencing here. But, like, what kind of traffic flow is this gonna accommodate? Like, have you been over to the high school to watch it?
So this will be able to handle the current traffic and the growth of the granary subdivision, which is to the east. And it will also be able to accommodate the development associated with Whitehall. That was
So
part of an
you guys have,
analysis.
it was, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We had an outside engineer evaluate both options, being the traffic signal intersection and the roundabout, and they recommended double roundabout because, as I mentioned, the intersection fails at around 2045.
Yeah, I did see that, and that data about the stoplight not being as efficient, but I'm just wondering about the size of the roundabout itself. Because I think what we talked about was different initially. So I'll go through the paperwork and look at that again. I'm just wondering if you guys considered the size of it to be large enough to accommodate the growth over the next several years.
Yeah, what you see there on the display is actually the double roundabout. It will
Yeah.
be, as I mentioned, it will be striped accordingly for single lanes for the most part going through the roundabout initially.
And,
Okay.
and Amy, without the image that first night, the 2 board meetings ago, we talked about a double roundabout without 2 lanes in either direction yet, but
Right.
the roundabout being ready for that. So it's done once rather than having to be redone in X number of years, which is a positive.
And
Yeah.
And basically what will happen is when we expand Colorado Boulevard to 4 lanes, at that point, that'll be a fully functioning double roundabout for everybody. And I'm going to restate my comment about the immediately in the roundabout, it does look like there will be 2 lanes there. That is the interim design. I'm trying to find the ultimate design, but I can't find it right now.
If we could get a copy of the ultimate design, I guess, whatever you guys come up with, that would be awesome, just to reference.
Okay.
I'm hogging all the time. Does anybody else want to say anything before I say something else? Because I have another question.
I have another question. Is we had talked about the school district contributing 75,000 and the town contributing 100,000, but the design cost being in the 400,000. So where does the remainder of the cost come from?
Sure. So the town's contributing 150,000, not 100,000. We are asking for a contribution as part of the development agreement from the district in the amount of 75,000. We are expecting the granary to pay an additional 150,000, and then Whitehall is being asked to contribute 75,000 as part of that. So roughly it's $450,000 is the total. The contract amount is right at 435 right now. If we stay on budget and there are no unexpected costs as part of the design, then we would provide back that pro rata share.
Okay.
So
And
Matt,
just
ahead,
to
Mark.
clarify, I'm so sorry, just to clarify, when you say design, that's design and build.
No, that is not build. That is
Okay.
design only. So we would be able to go out to bid. So our timeline looks such that we want to award this in August, this Monday. From there, we would design it and have it prepared. Our goal is to have it out to market as a request for proposal to construct March 31st. We will bid it for 30 days and then evaluate those bids, have a bid award in May, and have the contractor start at the end of May. And then completion, our hope is before school starts. And as I mentioned, this entire intersection, Colorado Boulevard, will be completely closed to vehicular traffic.
So what are the plans after the design phase for cost of build?
So we have an engineer's preliminary estimate on what this is going to cost, and that cost is 2.6 million. The difference, an intersection improvement was 2.4 million.
So Matt, can you say that one more time? You said that it was 2.6 million for the roundabout estimated. I know that's not guaranteed yet, but
Sure.
And it was 2.4 for the light. Was that, did I hear that right?
Yeah, it was if I can share my screen, I can actually pull it up and share it.
And then while you're looking for that, just the thought of diverting all of the traffic on 13 over to 15 scares me to death.
Yeah, no, I trust me, I'm sure we'll get plenty of constructive criticism. You also have to, we're also taking into consideration if we run that down to a 1-lane road and run traffic on it, you're probably looking at tripling the construction time period from about hopefully 3 months to maybe as long as 9 months. And that doesn't work for anybody. We understand that.
Right.
Compounding that will be the impact to the cost related to traffic control that you need to actually monitor that. That will probably impact the budget by about, I'm guessing about $500,000 at least, if not more.
Yeah, no, I think it's the right call to do it as quickly as possible because of what's going on there. But that I take 15 most days to get my daughter to her dance studio, and it is not prepared for that kind of traffic. So just heads up on that one.
What other questions do we have? Well, we have Matt with us that can help us. Again, I think today we're talking about the design, or the ask in front of us is the design, recognizing that down the road there will be some ask to support. If we go the roundabout way, we are as a district on the hook for some percentage of the intersection either way, but design is really what we're talking about today.
Yeah,
I do have one other. Oh, go
You
ahead,
go first.
Monica.
Amy, you go first, then I'll go.
Just, has the town discussed anything about something temporary while we're waiting for this? Since it's gonna be a year plus, or we don't know how long,
We have not, no.
any particular, like, way we could talk about that, maybe? Have you been over there, Matt,
Sure.
in the morning
Yeah.
for drop off?
Yeah, I was there at the beginning of last year.
Okay. I'd encourage you to go over there this year. I really feel like we need some help in that department, so.
I mean, if we were to put something temporary in, I don't know what temporary looks like in everybody's mind, but
I mean,
I struggle with throwing good money after bad.
are you, I'm sorry, what?
I struggle with spending money unnecessarily when it
You
maybe
think the
doesn't make
kids' safety driving into the school is unnecessary?
I
This is
don't
for
think
the,
that's
this is
I
for a
don't-
town board meeting, so I won't go into that. I just would
Okay.
encourage you to take a look at what's going on over there. And I'll come to the town board meeting and discuss that as a citizen instead of doing that in this meeting. But I mean, as far as like a member of the school board, it's very concerning to me how traffic is coming in and out of the school. As a parent of 2 teen drivers, and even for myself, it's bad right there. I mean, it'll take me 15 minutes to get out of Clearview, let alone getting out of the high school. First day of school, I think it took me 20 some minutes. And you have kids, that are cutting each other off because they're getting impatient, inexperienced drivers. I think we really need to take a look at that before something bad happens.
Hey, Matt, this is Michael here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
I don't know, Zoom always throws me into the web app, and the web app won't recognize any of my devices. So, I think one of the, well, let me start this up. I don't think there's anybody on this board who disagrees that the roundabout's probably the best way to handle traffic at this intersection. Not only for the student traffic, but just the flow of traffic along 13 in Colorado Boulevard. I think where this board is probably having its most trepidation with this is just our limited budget to be able to support the financing of this project. And so I think that's been communicated to you a little bit, but I don't want to miss this opportunity to express that we definitely want to be a good partner with the town, but there's a little fear because this is coming to us post bond when most of that bond money has been spent, and so for us to put a major investment into this project, we've got to find that money elsewhere, and as as a school district, that we're very limited as to where those sources can come from, if they are even available. So I just wanted you guys to be cognizant of that as we move through this process.
Yeah, Michael, I appreciate your comments. We are definitely sensitive to the financial impact that this puts upon everybody that's involved, us included. That's why we're trying to figure out how to do this as most cost effective as possible. I think when the high school was initially contemplated, I think we expressed to the engineers for the high school about concerns about how this intersection was going to perform without some sort of traffic equipment, whether that's an intersection with a signal or a roundabout. But we also understood at that time the urgency to get that done. I mean, we didn't even approve a development agreement until June 2023. And we were pushing this to help work with the school district as quickly as possible back in 2021, as soon as the bond hit. I would say this was not our general development process. That we did a lot of things expeditiously and maybe out of the general process of our methods to try to make sure that the school got what they needed in terms of a new high school for the community, which was important.
Amanda, you had a question?
I do have a question. So you had mentioned that this roundabout will be built as a double while there is only need for a single. When is the breaking point between a single and a double roundabout actually being needed?
It's based on the transportation impact study that determines number of vehicles per day and during those peak hours. And when we hit those demands, that's when the town would come in and restripe it and reorient everything to accommodate double roundabouts and put in the extension of the roadway to make Colorado Boulevard full 4 lanes.
And has the town completed that transportation impact study?
We do have a transportation impact study that evaluated these analyses, comparing the intersection versus the roundabout, and I'm happy to provide it to Scott, and Scott can provide it to the board.
Sure. What's the cost differential between building and installing the single roundabout versus the double roundabout?
That I do not know. I'd have to find out. I could tell you that it's more complicated to install a single roundabout and then have to go in and kind of tear everything out and move everything to accommodate a double roundabout. So if we were to put in a true single roundabout, I do not know that answer, but it wouldn't be cost effective.
Yeah, I'm concerned that you're asking the school district to utilize some of our money to accommodate future growth and future development when there isn't a current day need. There is a current day need for a light or a single roundabout. But for a double roundabout, I just feel like you're asking the school district to upfront and pay our portion of that when it's not our growth or development in the area. It would be other developers that the town would be approving. So I'm concerned that you're asking the school district to put in more money than what is actually required with the traffic we brought with the high school.
Sure. I don't know it for a fact. So I'd just say I understand your comments, Amanda. But I would say that I'll just provide Scott with the transportation impact study. I think when the development of Whitehall, the high school, and the granary all take effect, I think it's very close to that point when the double roundabout is merited. So that's why it was proposed as the double there.
Okay, thank you.
What were the dates of that study, Matt?
The analysis from our engineer.
The transportation analysis that you said you did a study
Yeah.
during peak hours.
Yeah.
What dates?
Well, what it does is it evaluates and projects peak hours. I'm actually looking for the presentation. So.
While you're looking for that, I also wanted to
Mhm.
throw something out there because Scott at the last board meeting had stated that the town might entertain a developer's agreement with Whitehall and the Granary to pay their portions at a later date. And if you're doing that for developers, is the town willing on the construction costs to spread those costs over a period of years to alleviate the cash flow issue that we'll have?
Yeah, I spoke to Scott today and advised him as such.
Matt, while you're looking, one of the things I
Yeah.
appreciate you talking through, which I think our board has felt on the backside is that maybe we were out of process a little bit as we went through the design and build out of the high school, and that we ended up out of process some and probably some to expedite, which is always a challenge when you're trying to get a school up and running on time. And so I think one of the challenges for us as a district going forward is to help ourselves to be in process and to think about what's down the road. Because I do think the idea of the roundabout now contemplated, sounds like may have been contemplated before, could have been on our end financed differently through the bond. So I think that's good learning for us as a school district to encourage us to stay in process as well as the towns we're working with.
So the council received a presentation on an update to the Colorado Boulevard and Roosevelt Parkway intersection alternatives analysis on January 17th of this year.
But I'm asking what period of time during peak hours or what dates? Was it over like a period of a month? Like what?
In terms of
Like,
the
did you guys
transportation
have
impact study?
Uh-huh.
So basically and I'm not a transportation engineer, Amy, so you'll have to forgive me. So, but basically what they do is they look at peak hours. They generalize it over a 24-hour period to say at what point does this intersection become, and they have levels of service ratings, and at what point does the intersection fail? And that's what they evaluate. I'm happy to, as I mentioned, to provide Scott with a copy of the analysis and the presentation that was made to council.
So is it not an actual study of the trackers and stuff that you have traffic going through that CDOT's counting and things like that? Is it not a physical study of the traffic going through there? Am I misunderstanding?
So a transportation impact study looks at what's happening in the future. It looks at what the existing conditions are, but it also has to make some transportation engineering assumptions about what is happening. So it looks at, okay, what's going on at Roosevelt High School? How many vehicles are coming through there?
But that's my question, Matt, is when did we look how many cars were coming through there? What were the dates that they did this study to look at the traffic going through there? Was it
I don't know. I'd have to look at the transportation.
So where did we pull that data from?
Pardon me?
Yeah, that's just what I'm wondering. Like, where did we pull that data from? Because of course it matters when we pulled that that data from, the dates. So I'm just curious on that when we're talking about, you
Matt,
know,
I think
our
what
percentage, how big to make it.
I think to expedite this, I think what Ms. Musgrave is trying to ask is, or imply, is that the numbers you're working off of are not accurate because nobody's counted traffic out there in the last month or even the last 6 months. Would that be a fair statement?
I'd have to look at the traffic study, but the traffic analysis was completed in January of 2024. And it was.
I know, but I want to know when the data was pulled from. Like, if it was pulled in
And-
August, it makes it
Oh,
of
absolutely,
last year.
it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different if it's pulled right in July when nothing's going on. I don't disagree with you, but it also looks forward in terms of, okay, if the
Yeah,
granary.
but I know that, like, I know logically, like, what you're telling me, but I also live here and I know the difference. I live in Clearview. I know the difference in traffic between July and August. So it really, really matters when the study was done. If we're trying to figure out if we're doing the right thing and we're asking, you know, you're asking 75 grand from us. I don't know where we came up with that number. I'm sure we'll discuss that. And is that a percentage? Or are you going to ask us for that same percentage of the 2.4 million total cost? You know, so I think it really matters when that study was done, when we're looking at what our portion of this is.
And I can provide you with a copy of the analysis to Scott, and Scott.
Okay, and it has all those dates in there.
It has the information that they collected to perform their analysis.
Does it have the dates on
I'm
when they collected that data?
Amy, I'm trying to find it right now and I
Oh,
can't.
okay.
I'll honestly, I just got to the office 5 minutes prior to this meeting because today is a day off. So I wasn't even able to prepare for the meeting.
Okay. How was the 75 grand? How was that determined, Scott or Matt? Or how did we come up with that number for us?
Matt, I'll defer to you. I mean, I can say initially all of the cost was 25, 25, and 50. As we talked about last week with the granary, Whitehall, and us. And then in our conversation earlier this week, Matt shared with us that the town was kicking in 150. So Matt, can you talk a little bit about how it landed with you being the same as granary and what percentage those are, but it's less than 25% for us now.
Yeah, it is 25, less than 25%. I think one of the things, right, we provided a general preliminary agreement that we were running through staff to get some feedback with the district and with the other parties that have a development agreement that calls out for a certain percentage. There was some general back and forth about what the total cost of this project is. And my position was I did not feel comfortable in delaying this project. And I felt the best method forward was for me to be an active partner as the town in finding a solution to get the design going. We offered up 150,000, and then just based on the 25, 25, and 50, that made sense for the others to be asked for that amount based on their development agreements.
I think that makes sense, Matt. And I know this is looking into a crystal ball, but do you expect a similar kind of split when it comes to actually funding the creation of the roundabout, the development?
Yeah, I'm hopeful, I'll be honest. full transparency, the granary subdivision has sent us an offer to consider that says, for the construction, we will pay a GMP of a total construction cost of $2 million, which would make their cost 50% of that 2 million.
Okay.
Pardon me. Yeah, 50% of the 2 million, which is $1 million. If that were reasonable to the granary, I think the ask to the district in Whitehall would be the other 25%. The cost estimate is 2.6 million where it sits right now. The town would have to come up with $600,000 if we wanted to get this done appropriately, based on the estimate.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Board members, any other questions that we have for Matt? Or for me?
I don't have any questions. Matt, thank you so much for, especially on your day off, coming in, and I know this was short notice with this kind of asking you to be a part of this was kind of short notice. So yeah, I know you weren't fully prepared to be able to answer all our questions, but we appreciate you being here nonetheless.
I'm happy to do it anytime.
So we can't really take action today. Are you, Scott, are you just looking for, or Matt, I guess, are you guys looking just for kind of a head nod from us that this is something
That's what
we're
I was,
interested
right?
in?
I'd love to see for us that we're ready to move forward with design, because without it, the summer becomes not a possibility.
Well, I'll speak for myself, but I think hearing that the town is coming to the table with a percentage of the overall build, I think it's fair to ask for us to have some, skin in the game. And in order to get it done, I'm supportive of the money right now, at least, to get the design going.
Any of our board feel differently than
Monica,
should move forward?
trying to talk.
Sorry, I was muted. I was just going to say also, I feel like this is something we need to move forward with, is creating the design so we can make that intersection safer for all those that travel. So I am in support.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm in support with going forward with the design. I think we have some IGA agreement issues to work out with paying for the construction, and the time period will pay back those cash flows. But I think that's ahead of us, and I do understand timing. So I am in favor of going forward with the design while we figure out the IGA for the construction.
I agree with Amanda. I'm inclined to I definitely think we need to move forward. I think the 75 is reasonable. I do definitely think we need to work on some details with the construction portion of it, but that is not what's on the table right now. So yeah, I definitely think this needs to get done sooner rather than later.
All right, anything else? Any other questions before we close? That's really the only topic we had today, Matt. Again, as Michael said, we really appreciate you being willing to come and enhance our knowledge, and help us to see what the town's vision is too.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Scott.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll send you the analysis here today.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
With that, Michael, do you want to close us? Do you want Nate to, since he opened the meeting?
Yeah, I don't know. Do we want any other discussion we want to have on this?
I think we beat a dead horse on this one.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being able to kind of do this again on short notice, so we try to minimize doing them this way, but sometimes that's how it works. Just a reminder, we're at Roosevelt on Wednesday.
We're at Roosevelt on Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, so I'm telling you guys that more so you can help remind me, so I don't head to Milliken.
And maybe we'll see is a good subset of you tomorrow at our launch. 10 o'clock.
The
in morning.
library will be there. I'm excited. We're going to be there. So that's going to be really fun.
Nice. Thanks, Monica. We'll
Thank
see
you.
Yep. 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock at Roosevelt tomorrow, if you can join us.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
all.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks.